Okay, everyone, I'm live. We are officially live. Welcome to another Playground Sessions live stream. It's Phil here. It's nice to see everybody. And before I kick this thing off, I want to see how everyone's doing in the chat. Looks like everyone's keeping busy in the chat today. How's everyone? Sarah Pickles, what's going on? Hey, Warren. Hey, Stu. Nice to see you. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Lily Mae. We don't leave till the morning for our move. Oh, you're moving, Lily Mae. Where are you headed? Actually, maybe it's going to be in the chat. Yep, ready for the move. Super cool. You just played one last song on your big piano before it gets loaded into the truck. Oh, this is exciting, Lily Mae. Where are you moving? And how long is your move going to take? Hopefully you're not interrupted too much from your practicing. Hey, Charlotte. Glad you're joining. All right. Warren says, did they cut their hair for the lockdown? Oh, watching Tangled. That's funny. Sarah. My daughter Gemma, who's almost 3, loves Tangled. And she has a super long like ponytail too. And we always ask her if she can let her hair down. And she doesn't think it's as funny as us. All right. Well, we've got a fun task today, you guys. We're going to be finishing up A Lovely Day at Home. Excuse me, Lovely Day at Home. That's the title of our song. And we're going to be finishing this thing today. We're in the home stretch. And so what you're seeing now, you should see the very top of the tune here. If you can see my Sibelius screen, you should be able to see the title. And this is our A section here. And then our first ending, whoops, there it is. Beautiful, all right? Then we can move down to our second ending. Let's get that going. So now I'm going to take it from measure 9, but this time I'll go into the second ending. Ready? Here we go. And then now changing to G major. Ah, that's nice. Okay, now we need to head over into our B section. That's right here. So now we're in the B section. Now you can see the key is changing, right? Changing keys to G minor, and here we are. We're in the second half of our B section. Now we're wrapping up our B section. And this is where we left it last week. We are now poised to get back to our A section material. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So why don't we pick it up right from there? Now, I went ahead and got a head start a little bit, and I just copy and pasted basically our exact A section from the beginning. But I'm expecting us to make some tweaks here, so this was just a starting point so we could save some lesson time. And to that point, you guys, I need to first reiterate that I am sorry for the mishap on Sunday. Again, thank you for your patience and understanding. I'm glad we're here now, ready to wrap this thing up. The second thing I'll say, though, is that I'm actually, along with the rest of the Playground team, super duper busy this week, preparing a really awesome experience for you guys. Now, many people asked, when are we going to do the next 30-day type thing like we did with the entertainer? And that's exactly what we're working on this week. But we're actually going to make it even bigger than before. We're going to include all levels, and it's going to be a super, super cool experience. It's taking a ton of time and work, as you might expect, and I actually have been shooting videos all day. So what I'd like to do today is try and keep this lesson a little tighter than usual, and then when we're done, I'm actually going to go right back on camera and keep shooting for you guys. We're producing a ton of stuff. It's going to be really exciting, I promise you that. So stay tuned. Very, very soon we're going to be launching that stuff. Wish I could tell you more, but I will in the coming days. But because of that, I'm going to ask that you guys roll with me here on keeping this lesson a little bit quicker, okay? So let's jump in. Now, what we want to do when we get back to our A section is we want it to feel like we are repeating material. That doesn't mean we have to keep it 100% verbatim. That might be a little bit boring. But we do want to start with that. So we can start by copying and pasting that over. Now we can decide what kind of tweaks we want to make. So we just got done with this kind of light and major, you know, B section, and then we went, I believe that was Stu Last's recommendation early on. Stu, if you're still with us, that was awesome. When we went from major, we dropped down an octave and went minor. And then we got here, and we were kind of hanging in this minor mode, right? And then we did this thing, which was cool, and it had us kind of slowing down, right? We're really pumping the brakes here quite a bit. We finally get to here. Now we need to figure out what we want to do. What makes sense, given where we've already been, where we came from? What makes sense here for us to do in our repeated A section? Well, the melody obviously wants to stay the same. But left-hand wise, do we want to change this? All right, part of me thinks that we've kind of set things up coming out of the B section to play this a little bit more delicately. All right, now hear me out. This is what that might feel like. So we've just done all this, excuse me, then we went to here, and then we went. Now we're ready to get back into the A section. I'm thinking that we keep it pretty delicate. Ready? And then maybe as we start the second half of our A, we can start to pick up some momentum again, okay? That's going to be my suggestion. Let me head to the chat and see how we're doing, see if you guys are giving me any ideas. You guys always give great ideas, which has been super fun, by the way. This process is even more fun than I expected it to be, writing a song with you guys. Okay, so back to the chat. Lily Mae, you're moving to Vegas. Wow, super cool. All right, moving to the Strip. Don't spend all your money in your first night. All right, hey, David, how are you? Bless Enterprises, nice to see you. So Bless is saying, need some help. It's not working so well for me. I'm not learning that much. Bless, can you be a little more specific? I don't like to hear that, so I want to help you out if I can. Are you talking about in this video or in the app in general? Let me know, and maybe I can help you out. Hey, Addison, how are you? Okay, looks like everyone's already jumping in and try to help Bless. I love you guys. It's a great community we got here. All right, so Stu, yeah, Stu's saying this is kind of like a sonata structure. That's exactly right. In the most basic form, you could think of it as ABA, but typically the first A tends to be repeated. And in fact, we have that here with our first and second ending. The reason I don't just call it A repeated, BA, is because the first and second ending make each of the A sections a little bit different. So you have the first A, which has our first ending. Then you have the second A, which has our second ending. Then B, and now we're back on our final A. You're right, Stu. Hey, Mike Anderson's in the building, and so is Lauren Anderson. My fam is representing, guys. That's my dad and my wife. Everybody say hey. All right, so Sarah, I think Sarah's responding to my question. You like the dreamy nature of it. I do too, right? So we've just kind of had a lot of momentum in the B section, especially with this. A lot of it's almost like a counterpoint, but there's a lot of rhythms going on there. So I think kind of having a dreamy, like chilled out A section, at least to start, is smart. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to add some block chords. And why don't you guys chime in if you have some ideas for what we should do for the second half of our A section here. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and write in some block chords. And I'm going to keep them higher up. Actually, that just gave me a great idea. What if if we're going for a soft, gentle, dreamy vibe, what if we raised our whole melody an octave at the end? Whoa! You know what? This is great for trial and error, because after having done that, I now see how high up we would be in our ledger lines. So I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to hit my friendly Control-Z on that one. Okay. So actually, let me get this a little bit more centered. Okay. There we go. So now, instead of doing that, I'll go back to my idea for the triads. We're going to go root position triads. Actually, maybe not root position even. How about there? We'll do second inversion. Okay, so we'll put an F, bring that up an octave. All right, and then we're going to want to make that a dotted half note. Then we're going to go to this inversion of an E flat chord, so bear with me here. I'll do some quick editing. E flat, and then we're going to drop bring the F up to a G, and then we're going to bring this D up to E flat. All right, I'm multitasking now. I'm in the swing of it. Now for C minor, I still think we're going to keep this block chord pattern going. And for E flat to C minor, all we need to do is change one note. That B flat, we're going to move it up to a C. There we go. We'll call that C minor. And I'm going to tie it over to another one. Now I'm going to start the same way here with B flat and E flat. And then as I get to this G minor and F, I'm going to keep that as it is. All right. Now, as we can see, the first 8 measures of our final A section is a little bit different now, because we now have a bit more chilled out rhythms, and we are doing block chords. But everything else is the same: the harmony, the progression, and the melody. So this is definitely going to feel like repeated material, which is what we want. We don't want it to sound like a C section, another new section, okay? Not for this song, at least. So let me play what we have now on screen, and that is going to be, for now, just the first 8 bars of our last A. Ready? It's going to look like this. We've just done our slow down ending. Now we're ready to start, and that would look like this. Very sensitive. Now here is where we might want to pick things up a little bit. For now, all I have written is what we already had in the first A. But actually, let me point something out quickly to you guys. I actually, as we're repeating this, as we're doing a final A, since we're not going to do 2 A's like we did in the beginning, we should pick which ending we want. Do we want to do the first ending A, or the second ending A, or something new, which very well might become our ending or our outro to the whole song? So what I've done here is I've just pasted the first A section with the second ending, but I'm already expecting us to change that, okay? So let me check in with the chat. What do we like here? Stu, what do you think about gradually building from 53 towards the end? Maybe accenting the harmony and using a crescendo. Okay, that's a lot of great ideas there. I'm gonna come back to that and see what everyone else is writing. So Warren's saying 8 VA. Great point. If we want to do the melody up an octave, we want to do it up here, but we don't feel like reading all those ledger lines, we could write in a great little notation tool, a little symbol called 8 VA. 8 VA means everything you see from here on out until the dotted line of the 8 VA symbol ends is going to be up an octave from what is written. And in fact, I think I could pull that in Sibelius if I can remember my shortcuts. Yep, 8VA. So check that out. Warren W., good call. If we did want to play that up an octave, we could add that 8VA. And I'll tell you what, why don't we just leave that in there? But for those of you who would rather keep it in place or feel like it's too difficult to jump around, then you can feel free to ignore the 8VA symbol, okay? But that's a great call. So now what we're looking at is the first 8 bars of the melody for the A section is now up an octave. I love that, okay? Especially because we were just kind of coming up in the right-hand melody at the ending of our B section, like this. What if we went up like that? That's pretty cool, right? Okay, so we'll leave that. And let's see what else we got in the chat. Sarah's saying, plus with Dreamily, there could still be a sudden drop like falling down the rabbit hole. Love it, Sarah, that's right. One thing I'll say, though, is now that we know where we are in the context of the song, we know we're in the home stretch, right? We're trying to wrap things up. So I would hesitate to start to develop a new idea, Sarah, that would have us turning in a different direction. I love that idea in general, but we should save that for for the next composition we do, I think. And we should think about bringing this thing home. Lily May, maybe instead of the tie in measure 55, could we use quarter notes? Okay, I can check that out as well. And then Elta saying, I think if we get too high, it's hard to be dramatic. I think that's a great point, Elta. We should always consider what kind of effects different ranges of notes can have on the listener. So we're talking about dreamy. Dreamy is really great to play in a high range, in part because you can imagine a lullaby or like a, what are those called? Like a ballerina box where the ballerina spins and it plays the lullaby. That's way high up typically, you know. Right? So that could have that effect, but it's also going to have a thinner and airier effect, not much body to it, not much volume to it. And sometimes that's the effect that we may want, but other times we may not. So great point. And I think I'm going to leave this one up to the players, okay? So if we want to go 8VA here, we can. If you can play octaves and you want to play them both, like the lower and the higher octave, music box. Thank you, Sarah. If you want to do something like that, you could. But I think what we probably should do, given everyone's responses in the chat, I think we should probably keep this where it is. And if we want to add some cool things as like options for other people, we can do that kind of off the cuff and not write it into the score. So why don't we leave it as it is here for that? But let's pick it up at 53, and I think you guys have some good suggestions here. So let me remind myself, Stu said gradually building from 53 towards the end. Okay, so that could be an expression note. It could be a volume dynamics note. It could also be building in voices. We could start with like a single note or 2 notes and start to fill that out. So let's keep all that in mind. I like the general idea of building all the way to the end. And then Lily May suggested quarter notes in 55. All right, well, let's go ahead and get that going. I think you're right, especially because that works with Stu's suggestion as well, Lily May. We want to keep building from 53 to the end. So having a big chord that's tied to another chord kind of cuts off our momentum. So good point, all. And I'm going to go ahead and change it. So let's put quarter notes in. And why don't we keep the octave theme going in the left? We have the 1-5-1 pattern. Maybe we could do that. But then maybe we change the chord in the following measure. Hear me out. Maybe I have an idea. I'm going to play it out for a second. Oh, not that. Maybe we go to... You know what? That's okay too. We're going to pause there instead. You got to give yourself the chance to explore an idea, But it doesn't always mean every idea you have is great. So again, just a little tip for you composers out there. This is a fine balance between letting yourself and your ideas flow, but also keeping a critical ear to only pick the stuff that you like the best. All right, so let's, oh, hey, Gail. Gail just joined us. Sarah's asking, what do I mean by two voices? Good question. So voices obviously can be confusing. We're not talking about a choir here. But if you think about individual notes on the piano as one voice, specifically in a chord. So here's a chord, Sarah, that has 4 notes. C, E flat, G, C. That's a C minor chord. This chord technically has 4 voices. The second voice of the chord would be E flat. Here's the third. Here's the top voice. So when we talk about chord voicings, we can look at one chord, C minor. We can have a ton of different voicings for that chord. That's because you could have a 2-note voicing. You could have a 3-note voicing, a 4-note voicing, an 8-note voicing. These are all voices. And if you and your friends wanted to get together and sing this chord, for example, how would you do it? Well, you'd have to have one person or one voice per note. So that's what I meant there. All right, I'm seeing another suggestion from Elta. What if we repeat but slow way down for a dramatic ending? Okay, so repeat. Let me know more specifically, Elta. Are you wanting to repeat the whole A section again, or just repeat a bit of this stuff just for the end? And while we're talking it out, I'm going to write in what we just kind of talked about from Lily May's suggestion. So we're going to make this quarter notes. By the way, I just want to check in with my friends in my personal stream. I've got another camera going. Guys, I'm still going on my playground lesson, and if you want to see the rest, check out Playground Sessions YouTube channel and join us to wrap up this composition. But playground YouTubers, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. All right, so, oops, I got my weird chord symbol here. There's C minor. And then, for now, I'll just repeat it. So we got... All right, everyone, so here's what I'm thinking. We did this actually for our B section as well. Do you remember when we were kind of in the middle of the B section, and then we kind of skipped a few measures and we wrote our ending of the B section? That kind of helped us figure out where to take things in the middle, right? Once we knew where it was going to end, we figured out how to get there. I'm kind of thinking we may want to do the same thing here. What is Stu saying? You heard something today. If you can't think of something good to write, write something bad. It will probably lead you to something good. Basically, explore all your ideas and use the good stuff. Stu, I could not have said it better myself. That's actually the perfect way to describe this, right? Because you got to get out of your own way when you're writing. You get out of your own way. We can always judge what we're writing. We can always, expect it to be great right out of the gate. And that could get in our own way of actually creating, especially when we put something out and it isn't great right away. But that should not discourage you, nor should it prevent you from putting something on paper the next day. And like Stu says, even if it's bad. Now, I actually have songs I've written where I wrote a little piece of the song maybe a year or two before, and I thought, this isn't good, and I kind of never finished it. And then 2 years later, I was writing a completely different song, and I thought, oh, wait, what was that one thing from way back then? And I would find it, and I would resurrect it, and I would find a new life to breathe into it, and I would mash it up with something new that I had written in the future. So that just goes to show, even bad ideas, quote unquote, they're not final, right? And it can be a work in progress. So the key here is to put something on paper and do it often. It's not always going to be great, but you're basically practicing being creative and composing by doing that. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Great stuff, Stu. Thank you for that. All right. So, anyways, I'd like to end this. Oh, hey Terry. Oh, I didn't realize you missed most of these lessons. Um, this song does have a name. We named it a few weeks ago. It's called "Lovely Day at Home," which was great for the quarantine situation, um, with a positive outlook, and it also fit the rhythm of our melody, which is also pretty cool. That's kind of how we got there. We decided that we were going to name this something that could be a lyric if we wanted to sing it. Lovely day at home, it's a lovely day. For example, right? So that's kind of where we landed with that. But I'd like to figure out how we want to end this. So let me skip ahead to these 4 measures. This is the material from our second ending, if you remember. The second ending of our first A section. This is where we change to G major. So we don't want to do that now, right? But instead, we want to figure out a way to take this, to bring this thing home. Oh, bye, Terry. Hi, bye. See you next time. So what we need to do is firmly come to an end. Now, how do we do that from a music standpoint? What chords, what notes do we want to use? Well, you've heard me talking about tonicizing before, right? So what we mean by that is making something sound like the 1 chord. We already know what our 1 chord is. It's B flat. So how do we strengthen that B flat as the 1 chord? Well, we can just play it a bunch, right? We can also probably end it on that chord. That will be a strong ending as well. We should also probably find a way to put the 5 chord in there again, likely before the final 1 chord, so that we get a very firm ending of 5, 1. That could be a nice ending right there. So what would it be like if we took this same kind of structure, what we have here in these highlighted measures, but instead we tweaked the notes and the harmony to fit that kind of coming home nature of the progression of going 5 to 1. Well, first of all, that's easy. We'll make this a 1 chord. We make that the 5 chord. It's already the 5 chord. So it will be easy enough to add a B flat chord. There's our 1 chord. And what I'd like to do is find another way to strengthen the 1 chord. We have it here, and we have 5 coming before it, but it's just 1 measure each, and then it's gone. So we may decide to add more measures. Let's just play this out a little bit longer. I'm going to take it from here again. So that feels pretty satisfying harmonically and melodically. However, we get there pretty quick and then it's done. So especially because of how long we took to end our B section, we really milked that and slowed it down. I think we need to do the same thing here. So I don't mind this for now, these 2 bars of C minor, but I do like getting to a block chord here. And let me just take the reins here for a second. We're going to tie that. I think we... Okay, this should also be tied over, by the way. I jumped the gun on the B flat. So the F needs to be tied over. And then I'll scoot us down so we can see that we have 4 more measures left. We don't need to use all of them necessarily. But what we need to do now is... Oh, we don't need that extra chord symbol. What we need to do now is get to our B flat chord. And I suggest that we do all 4 measures. Oh, and we lost our keyboard, but that's okay. I am just going to move, well, I'm going to get rid of that no signal. And I'm going to bring our notation full screen. How about that? Okay. Almost. Okay, we're back. So here we go. Here is our ending. And I'd like to get a B flat chord over there right away. What if we tied it to another one and then played another B flat chord, but this time in root position? Or actually, it might be cool to just end it with a B flat fifth. But we'll play it out and we'll see. So then from here, we're going to make that B flat in the melody. And what if we played another B flat, but an octave lower for the end? Or actually, because we're not playing the third in the chord, down here I just have B flat and F. Let's make it a D in the melody here. All right, so this would look like this. I'll play it from everything you see on screen here. Actually, I forgot. We're chilling out here. Here we go. Okay, well that's kind of cool. I think it definitely helps to prolong the ending, and having an additional B flat chord at the end really just hammers home the fact that we are done. Let me check in with the chat here with you guys, and then we're going to have to wrap this lesson up soon so I can get back on camera for this, this new experience that I mentioned in the beginning of the lesson that we're producing for you guys. It's going to be another 30-day type challenge with another song, and it is going to be awesome. I promise you that. So we're going to cut today's lesson a bit short so I can get back into that. But let me see what you guys are saying here. An ornament. Would you ever use an ornament in the ending? Not a bad question here. Yes. Oh, and good question, Mike, or should I say Dad? Looks like Stu's got you covered. This is Sibelius, yeah. So the Playground app does not allow you to create notation. So we use Sibelius, and then we upload that stuff to the app. Sarah's asking, can I slowly roll the last chord to the end? Yeah, man. Good call. Rolling chords is a cool technique, especially as you're slowing down or coming to an end. And what was the other question? Would you ever use an ornament? Okay, so an ornament, well, really there's a lot of different ways that you can ornament something. And you could get super fancy, or it can be subtle. I wouldn't get too fancy at the end here because, well, the nature of the song, it doesn't really feel like it needs to be really virtuosic or anything like that at the end. But here's an example of something you could do to spice things up a bit with an ornament. I'll take it from measure 53. There's the rolled chord. Here's another rolled chord. It's harder to roll a chord with only 3 notes, but there you go. So what I did for the decoration, the ornament, was right in here. Instead of just going, I went. So an ornament is just kind of like kind of a more abstract way to refer to something that is like a decoration. Usually it's found in melodies. Now, often you'll see a trill. That's where you go back and forth very quickly between two notes. Or you'll see a turn. So a turn might look like this. So those are all that's like an extreme version of decorating and ornamenting a lot. We want to use that kind of thing subtly. But I personally like it right there in measure 60 where I have highlighted. So again, from 53 it goes. I would go something like that maybe, okay? So that's a good question. I won't write that in because it can tend to make things look pretty complicated, especially for a beginner level song. Although we're kind of out of beginner territory, to be honest. This is more like an intermediate level song. So Sarah, it's like a wiggle. That's a good way to put it. So Stu, how about arpeggiating over the final B flat? So with the right hand, play up through 2 octaves of a B flat chord. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, Gail says she was thinking of a trill too. So you could do a trill there. That could work too. That could be another version of an ornament. So Stu is asking that we arpeggiate in the right hand. So actually this would be a cool way to develop a little ending melody piece by using that chord arpeggio technique. So we're playing a B flat chord. We're playing this B flat. So instead of dropping down to here, Stu is suggesting that we arpeggiate with the right hand up through 2 octaves. Okay, so that would look like this. We go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we would go. I like that. Stu, that actually helps really make it sound like the ending, right? So that's good. But if we start too high, then we end up getting to the edge of our keyboard really quickly. For those of us who aren't playing on 88 keys, it might be tricky. So instead, what if we take your idea, but we start it a little bit lower? And that would look like this. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. And if you wanted to do it out of time like that too, that's pretty cool. In other words, you don't have to then go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because that might suggest that we're not done yet, right? Oh, he's playing in perfect timing, so that means we're still grooving. We still got more stuff to come. Now, we don't want that. Instead, we want something to really sound like the end. So Stu, I would suggest one of 2 ways to do that. One would be to play, so the chord on 61, and then drop down, and then quickly in the right hand, but gently play through your inversions like this. So it almost sounds like one gesture, like a rainbow is kind of coming up in the sky or something. The other way to, that I would suggest to do that instead would be to really slowly do that in the right hand. So not fly through it as one gesture, but rather play incredibly slow. So that would look more like this. And then we go. And you could even exaggerate that even more. So, Stu, I really like that. What I'd like to do is, I do want to include that. I do want to. Okay, so my hesitation there, Stu, was just to think that maybe some of the more rookie-level players here may not be able to do it. But again, this is our composition, and so we can decide what we want to decide. If we like this ending, but it's too hard for some, we can almost have 2 versions, right? Where we have, you can just play the chord, or you can do this kind of arpeggio thing that Stu is suggesting, which I think is great. I'm going to write it in as quarter notes. And we'll start it in the first inversion. So first we'll have D, then F, then B flat. And then I'm going to take Warren W.'s suggestion here, and instead of writing these ones super high up, I'm actually going to bring in an 8VA marking. Now this isn't something that you'll see in the app because the way that the app grades you, it wouldn't factor in that symbol at the moment. But this is great for printing and just learning and playing. Okay, so this is easier to visualize. This is actually the same chord. It's a B flat chord. Actually, it's up here. And so you can see that it's the same thing twice. But if you did want to bring it up 8 VA, you would just shift your hand like this. And I definitely want to add a little retardando in there as well. And remember, that means to slow things down. I'm going to put that down here for now just because I want to keep things clean. Oops. All right, guys, I think we're really zoning in here on our ending. This is exciting. And I've got about 5 minutes left before I need to jump back on camera. So what I want to do is kind of comb over this and make sure that we're feeling like this can be an end and that this can be the final song. Hey, Andrew's in the building. What's up, Andrew? Haven't seen you in the office in a while. Hope you're doing well at home and hope you're staying safe. Good to see you, man. Okay, so we need to... I'm going to go ahead and play this ending again. This is new for us, so it may not be in our ears yet. I'm going to take it from the top of the screen here. What you see, I believe, is measure 45. And I think what I'm going to do is get rid of this 8 VA mark from earlier, Warren, because I think it seemed like we decided that we kind of liked keeping the melody lower there. People were saying it felt a little too high up there. And especially now that we have an 8 VA at the end, I think we can leave it off there. So here's from 45 to the end. Let me know what you guys think. And then if we're feeling good about it, we'll zoom out. I'll play the whole song. And then we've got a song. It feels crazy, right? We've been working on this for long enough. It almost feels like we shouldn't be ending it. But that's another trick for composers, is like when to know when you're done. Because you can keep making tweaks, and that might get in your own way as well. So I think we're at the point now where it feels good to end. So I just want to make sure. And I'm going to play from 45 to the end. Here we go. That was for you, Stu. And then we're going to drop down and do this. Ready? Man, I think that's pretty good, you guys. We did it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit now, and let's see what we're working with. Yeah. It fits nice and clean on 2 pages. I like that. I'm really impressed, and I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of this whole group. This is a full song. Now, could we do more? Yeah, sure, of course. We could write a 50-page song, but that's going to be a bigger undertaking, of course. This was a great way for us to get our feet wet with composition. So, without further ado, I would like to play this. And I'm going to just get rid of these little white buffers on the edge. So I can see everything nice and full. Okay, everyone, this is our song. This is Lovely Day at Home, as written. Back to the top again for our second A. This time I'm going to go a little faster. A little decoration there for you, Warren. Now approaching the second ending, here we go. For Mata, we're just going to hold it, and then we move on to our final A, nice and gentle. All right, I went a little off page there, but only by 1 or 2%. Otherwise, this is the song we just wrote. It took us 2 months, but all in all, guys, that's not a very long time to write a whole song, especially considering we've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen here on the chat, all contributing with great ideas. I'm really, really, really happy with this final product and with how well we worked together as a team and as a community, you guys. Bravo. I want everyone to give yourselves a round of applause. Guys, I need you for one last thing here in the chat. We need to vote on what our next topic is going to be. And then I'm going to get out of here and get back to recording. So we talked a little bit about this last week. Do we want to continue composing? And if so, it would be a new song, okay? Or do we not want to continue composing? And if that's the case, what do we want to do instead? So I need everybody's fingers working right now in the chat. And we are going to pick a new topic. But first, I need to see what you guys are writing here. So, Stu, most of you have been on this every week. You've done an amazing job. That's right, Stu. These guys rock. And you've also given some great suggestions as well, Stu. All right, Andrew, you like the title? A very cool composition, for sure. Yeah, this is great. All right, guys. Andrew, you digging the bridge? Yeah, I don't think Andrew's been around the last few lessons, so that was new for him. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, so, Warren says copyright time. Good point. You know what, guys? What I'm going to do, it may take a couple of weeks here, but hopefully sooner than later, I'm going to try and get this song into the app so that we can all play it in segments with interactivity. That will be super fun. And we can open it up to everyone else that's using Playground Sessions as well. So let's do that. So Andrew's voting for composing a minor tune. Warren is asking for arranging, which in a way we could kind of lump in with composing. We could talk a little bit about arranging. So I'm going to just put it to you guys in the chat here. I need you guys to write either compose or not compose. And if the choice is to not compose, then I will introduce a poll on YouTube throughout the week, starting tomorrow, that will give you guys a couple of options to vote on that is not composition. But if you guys are all saying composition, then we can decide right now and we can write a new song. And I'm going to give it just a second for the delay to happen here so that you guys can hear what I'm saying and then write down. But I'm expecting to see everyone write something here. Dave is saying composing was good, but theory next would be beneficial. Totally agreed. So that's a vote for no composition. And theory is definitely going to be one of my options for the poll if it goes down that path. What else? I think theory might, I think actually if I remember our last week's chat, a lot of people were saying to dive into some more theory. Sarah's saying not, fair enough. Yep. Intermediate theory. Good. That's kind of what I was hoping for, actually. Yeah, this is great. So I'm assuming that this is going to be the way that it goes. And so right now I'll go ahead and make the decision that I'll go ahead and make the decision to do not composition. So that's decided. And then tomorrow I'm going to put a poll out there, and I'm going to ask you guys to vote on a couple of non-theory options. Okay, hey, Richard's got a good point. You're impressed with what this group has done. A new aspect to Playground, that's true. So a vote for composition. Fair enough. Lily, keep work on arranging. Okay, so this is interesting. And Mike's saying knowing when the song is done is an interesting topic. That's a good point. There's a lot of room to explore just composing itself. So I'm going to say that we're going to do no composition, but I will give a couple of options for something else. One will be theory, one will be arranging. Okay, I'm seeing a couple people write arranging, and then I'll come up with another one as well, and then we'll put it to the votes. Okay, and then by the time next week rolls around, our very next live lesson, 1 week from today, we'll kick off on that new topic. Okay, everyone. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Sorry you lost my camera, but I'm glad at least you can still hear me and hear the music and see the music. I'm going to post this final piece of music to the Facebook group and let everyone know that it's final. And once again, give yourselves a round of applause. This was awesome. Great, great work. I had no idea our song would end up this with this much variety, right? We have a lot of different material in here. We're covering a lot of range. We're playing block chords and broken chords. We started this by saying we wanted to write a rookie-level song. Look where we've gotten to, and it was all thanks to your guys' suggestions. So I'm pumped. I'm going to post it to the group. I will post the YouTube poll tomorrow. I'll collect votes over the week, and we'll kick off our next topic 1 week from today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you very soon.